free Luigi, and fuck healthcare mob bosses. Let's get into this one, friend. I got a lot of fucking thoughts on this. Hey, what's happening, friend? Big dog Ethan, and yeah, you are not, I repeat, not listening to WMTS 88.3 FM in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and this is the semester finale of The Unnatural State of Affairs. Yeah, this one's going to be exclusive to the kennel. Yeah, the main reason why I'm not broadcasting this big finale is, or broadcasting on WMTS is, yeah, I didn't really have time to go back and, like, censor my broadcast and put together a playlist because, well, it's finals week. I'm graduating this Saturday, which is fucking insane, but anyways, yeah, so didn't really have the time to broadcast the show this week, but that said, yeah, I've got some massive things to talk about. Makes me a little bit bummed that I can't really broadcast this pretty big show. And really, I'm only covering one topic. It's none other than, of course, as you can probably tell by the intro of this video, yeah, I'm going to be talking about the assassination of the UnitedHealth CEO. Gonna get into all that. Got a lot of spicy thoughts, and yeah, I also don't have much time to deliver them because I'm taking a podcasting class, and like, anyways, our final is due tonight. So, yeah, it's gonna be a record time, or like record output time. If I could have words come to me today. Anyways, United Healthcare CEO assassination. It's the fucking rage on social media. I'm really excited to talk about it. So yeah, CEO fucking down. Yeah, so a healthcare CEO, United Healthcare CEO specifically, yeah, he took 3 bullets in his back on Wednesday morning in New York City. Just yesterday, after an unending stream of glorious memes online, the Associated Press reported that the cops arrested a suspect in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Yeah, they arrested him at a fucking McDonald's. The guy, his name, kid you not, Luigi Mangione. I've heard different broadcasters pronounce his name in like 50 million different ways, so I'm just kind of guessing at this point. I'll probably like pronounce it 5 different ways throughout this segment. Before I say any more on this, I have to stress that this is a rapidly developing story. Even tonight, because of my schedule right now, I'm having to record this whole thing while Luigi's extradition hearing takes place, or it might be over. It might be over by now. And I'm also recording this literally maybe an hour after we just got a verified copy of Luigi's manifesto that he had on him whenever he was arrested. There was an independent journalist, Ken Klippenstein. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned him on here before. Yeah, he got his hands on it and he decided to post that shit online. So, yeah, anyways, we're going to touch on that later on in this segment. But to add on to all that, not only has social media been exploding with memes, but there are just a lot of random people online saying, oh, I know this, I know that, I was good friends with him in high school, or I passed by him in the hallway at the University of Pennsylvania, which, yeah, by the way, this guy also went to the University of fucking Pennsylvania. Also is from a pretty wealthy fucking family, too. So there are going to be a lot of details coming out in the near future, and I am sure as hell that Netflix is already trying to find a director to make some kind of a docu-series on this guy and the assassination as well. But anyways, I digress. There's a lot of unverified info to sift through, and it's all been coming out in these sporadic yet furious moments of shocking revelations. So by the time you're seeing this, there may already be outdated info. So if you want to see the latest developments, I would say prioritize getting updates from credible independent journalists like Talia Jane or Ken Klippenstein on Twitter or Blue Sky, and still keep an ear out for what traditional news outlets have to say and what blows up on social media platforms. But as we kind of get into it, you're not really going to get a lot of great stuff from the news outlets. I mean, maybe in terms of like, just the general updates, sure. But if you want anything more than that, you are just not going to get anything really good from them. And we're definitely going to touch on that later on this segment. So, okay. So let's start from the beginning. So we're going to take a look at the footage of the public service in question that Luigi gave to us last Wednesday. And I'm not going to be using any of that censored shit either that you've been seeing broadcast on different traditional, TV news outlets. Because here's the thing. If you've seen any of the footage coming out of Gaza, this is like G-rated in comparison, especially because the footage is pretty low resolution, since the guy who uploaded this, he's recording a computer screen with presumably a cell phone camera to get it out to the public. So it's really not that bad. I honestly wouldn't even put a content advisory warning on it, but if you're even slightly hesitant to watch something violent, maybe not. But yeah, so I mean, literally just see the CEO, he just walks down the sidewalk, and yeah, the guy just steps into the bottom left-hand corner of the frame, and it's just like, I mean, it's like, I'm trying to think of, like some, honestly, it does kind of look like a video game almost. I mean, it looks like he was, I don't know, fucking James Bond or something like that. I mean, the way he just holds it's a silenced pistol too, so he just, I mean, man, he just pops a few caps in that guy's back, and first he kind of walks off, and then it becomes more of a jog. So as I already kind of mentioned, he was able to get out of New York City, and he was able to evade the cops for a few days. And I have to say, I gotta say, good fucking riddance to that CEO, the UnitedHealthcare CEO. His name is Brian Thompson. Now, I imagine there might be a few of you clutching your pearls at such a thought, so let's clarify a few things. First, I don't know, for anyone who is looking at this out of legal concerns, nothing said in this segment should be construed or interpreted as an incitement to imminent lawless action, including the elimination of the CEO of any health insurance company executives, such as these. In all seriousness, I want single-payer healthcare. I want single-payer healthcare, not violence. I'm here to argue why you shouldn't be losing a wink of sleep over this CEO's murder, and why, rather, you should be throwing a blowout party to celebrate his fatal dance with karma.
Karma gets you every time.
Now, why do I say that? Well, let's look at the best data that we have available on the widespread violence that Brian Thompson, in part, simply gave a professional veneer to. First, I'd like to note that these, that's not my actual zip code anyways. sorry, by the webpage, the webpage that I opened to show these stats, valuepenguin.com, it automatically filled in a zip code in one of these little check boxes, asking me if if I needed help finding an insurer, and it's not even my zip code, so that's pretty funny. But anyways, so these stats come from valuepenguin.com. Now, you might be wondering, wait, shouldn't that be the kind of stuff that the federal government collects? Well, legislators made an effort to make regulators collect information on medical claims data, but according to a ProPublica article from 2023, nothing really came of it. Quote, in 2010, federal regulators were granted expansive authority through the Affordable Care Act to require that insurers provide information on their denials. This data could have meant a sea change in transparency for consumers, but more than a decade later, the federal government has collected only a fraction of what it's entitled to. And what information it has released, experts say, is so crude, inconsistent, and confusing that it's essentially meaningless. The National Group for State Insurance Commissioners gathers a more detailed, reliable trove of information. Yet, even though commissioners' primary duty is to protect consumers, they withhold nearly all of these details from the public. ProPublica requested the data from every state's insurance department, but none provided it. 2 states collect their own information on denials and make it public, but their data covers only a tiny subset of health plans serving a small number of people, unquote. So, that's all to say we're doing the best with what we got, okay? Now, keeping in mind that the business model of health insurance companies is to deny you, the patient, the health care that you are already paying the company to cover, quote, based on available in-network claim data for plans sold on the marketplace, UnitedHealth denies the most claims at a rate of 32%. Now, again, I don't know if the failure to provide a full set of accurate reports on claim denials is the fault of the insurance companies, government regulatory agencies, or both, but that's what the current data reports. Now, let's look at some people's personal experiences. This comes from another 2023 ProPublica article that I actually cited on here before as a part of my speech team, or as a part of my speech for debate team. This article details the struggles of this Penn State student in getting the cost of his ulcerative colitis treatment covered by his insurer, UnitedHealth. Quote, at one point, court records show, United inaccurately reported to Penn State and the family that McNaughton's doctor had agreed to lower the doses of his medication. Another time, a doctor paid by United concluded that denying payments for McNaughton's treatment could put his health at risk. But the company buried his report and did not consider its findings. The insurer did, however, consider a report submitted by a company doctor who rubber-stamped the recommendation of a United nurse to reject paying for the treatment. United declined to answer specific questions about the case, even after McNaughton signed a release provided by the insurer to allow it to discuss details of his interactions with the company. United noted that it ultimately paid for all of McNaughton's treatments. In a written response, United spokesperson Maria Gordon Shidlow wrote that the company's guiding concern was McNaughton's well-being. That's ironic. Quote, Mr. McNaughton's treatment involves medication doses that far exceed FDA guidelines, the statement said. In cases like this, we review treatment plans based on current clinical guidelines to help ensure patient safety. But the records reviewed by ProPublica showed that United had another, equally urgent goal in dealing with McNaughton. In emails, officials calculated what McNaughton was costing them to keep his crippling disease at bay and how much they would save if they forced him to undergo a cheaper treatment that had already failed him. As the family pressed the company to back down, first through Penn State and then through a lawsuit, the United officials handling the case bristled. Quote, "This is just unbelievable," Kavanaugh said of McNaughton's family in one call to discuss his case. Quote, They're just really pushing the envelope, and I'm surprised. Like, I don't even know what to say," unquote. See, even this notion, the notion of a beneficiary pressuring their insurer to follow up on their end of the bargain by covering the health treatment that ostensibly is what they promise to do when you enroll in their plan. That notion is quote unquote just unbelievable to these fucking thugs in suits. Hell, even a year before this guy faced the most visceral manifestation of karma with 3 bullets in his back, potentially even more, this CEO was getting torn to shreds on LinkedIn. Y'all, LinkedIn is perhaps the cleanest social media platform out there. It's literally just a site for careerists to brag about their new jobs or for college grads like me to slide into their DMs and go, hi there. Are you seeking employment currently? It is literally a site for people to kiss each other's ass. That's it. On a site like that, here's what people commented on the CEO's last post over a year ago. Or I should probably read the initial post first, I suppose. So the initial post that he wrote, quote, "We work every day to find ways to make #healthcare more affordable, including reducing the cost of life-saving prescription drugs." That's a fucking laugh. "I'm proud of the work Chief Affordability Officer Matthew Vesledal, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and his team are doing to reduce costs for members. #active affordability." So then, the comments. Oh, the comments. All right, here's the first one. Quote, "Brian Thompson, this seems like a laudable mission, but UnitedHealth Group is failing my mother by not providing her the basic care to get better and back to her life." There's a typo there. "You continue to delay any decision making and authorization. You continue to delay any decision making and authorizations, which is compromising her health even more. And if she doesn't get back to her baseline, UnitedHealth Group is partially responsible. She is ready to get better, but instead you have her lying in a hospital bed. Those who can make decisions don't work on the weekends, making her recovery process even longer, as UnitedHealth is denying her to go to her in-network program facility, which has been approved by everyone else, team of doctors, the rehab center, etc. So, can you specifically lay out how UnitedHealth Group is committed to a, quote, more sustainable healthcare, unquote, system?" Another one. Quote, "This message is an example of hypocrisy at its finest. You are denying claims for people who need it." Unquote. Simple. Beautiful. Just chef's kiss. Here's another one. Quote, "The only thing this company is good for is screwing their customers." Yeah, that's absolutely fucking true. And then someone looks like, what the hell is this? Oh, wow. There's the resistance is forming online on LinkedIn. It looks like there's like a private group of 7 people. It's called the People Against United Healthcare Health Insurance. Oh, man. I mean, best of luck to them, but I don't suspect LinkedIn is the best place to be organizing that resistance. But hey, I mean, Godspeed to them. Godspeed to them. There's one more. Yeah, here it is. Quote, you were doing a great job cutting your costs. Not having a single anesthesiologist in network in the entire state of Montana is a great policy to save you money. Yeah, so, I forgot one more thing too. That's right. Yeah, okay, it is gone. So there used to be, it was really just like yesterday, maybe the day before, there used to be a comment right at the bottom there that was from the United Healthcare vice president. She hopped in later to do some damage control. She said, quote, "We work with the smartest folks in the healthcare industry," unquote. Yeah, so if you're watching the video version, you can see that all these other comments got roughly 100 reactions each. All of them like thumbs up or hands clapping, that sort of thing, right? The vice president, and again, I wish I could verify this, but it seems either she took down the comment, maybe her account, I don't know. I didn't write down her name, so I couldn't find her name. But yeah, the vice president, she got 29 reactions. In comparison to the average, honestly, there might be, actually, most of these have over 100 reactions. And the best part, 24 of the 29 reactions that vice president got for her pathetic attempt at damage control, 24 of them were laughing emojis. 24 out of 29 of the reactions from that damage control post were just laughing emojis. And of course, that's on probably the cleanest social media site out there. Let's go to a slightly rougher platform, Facebook. So the United Healthcare account, they made a post grieving the loss of their former mob boss, boo-hoo-hoo. Screenshots of the reaction counter on the post quickly, not even quickly, like instantly became a meme. First, people started sharing this one. Do I have that one up? Yeah, so people started sharing this one. It showed 5,500 of the 8.4 thousand reactions were laughing emojis. Overwhelming majority of the reactions were laughing emojis. Then, the company turns off the comments section for the post, but people could still react to it. Now, the last count I was able to find of the sort of like the reaction ratios was here. Where is it? I want to show it on screen. I don't know why. Yeah, okay, here it is. So yeah, roughly 71.8 thousand of the 77,000 or 77,500 total reactions were laughing emojis. 71.8 thousand out of 77,500 of those reactions were laughing emojis. Now, the thing is, at some point between December 6th and now, the company even managed to hide the reaction accounts. So that's just Facebook, the land of like the, whacked out boomer, right? The boomer who's just like addicted to nothing but, maybe semi or like, I don't know, QAnon adjacent memes and that sort of thing. Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, kind of where all the, all the youngins are at. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's take a look at a few of them, shall we? And by a few, I mean a fuck ton, okay? Literally, I had to open up a new window just so I'd have, like, enough room to fit all of the different memes and tweets and all that shit that have been floating around online. This is beautiful. So, the first one up here. Quote, the McDonald's that the alleged hashtag UnitedHealthcare assassin was arrested at is currently being reviewed bombed on Google. Please mention this in the documentary at Netflix. And you literally have one. So again, this is McDonald's where, the either a customer or an employee called the cops on, on our good friend, Mr. Luigi. This first review up here says, quote, this McDonald's is full of rats. But There's just another one. It just says food, 1, service, 1, atmosphere, 1. Another one, quote, this location has rats in the kitchen that will make you sick, and your insurance isn't going to cover it. Yeah, we're just getting started. We're just getting fucking started. Quote, my husband hasn't posted anything on the internet in years. He didn't even post photos of our wedding. And he posted this. For those listening to the audio-only version, it's a screenshot of the healthcare CEO's, Brian Thompson's profile picture. And it just has, like, in big letters over his forehead, dead moron. Woof! Another one. Quote, oh boy, I want to represent this guy so bad. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of lawyers are I'm sure there are a number of lawyers out there who are scheming to try to represent this guy. Quote, oh, first I should note, so Amy Klobuchar, she's a senator from Minnesota, by the way, where UnitedHealth is based out of. Amy Klobuchar tweets, quote, this is a horrifying and shocking act of violence. My thoughts are with Brian Thompson's family and loved ones and all those working at UnitedHealthcare in Minnesota, unquote. Someone retweets, quote, they weren't even big donors, Amy. Come on. And it's got a picture of, I assume it's I assume it's an Open Secrets, or a screenshot of Open Secrets page on Amy Klobuchar's, campaign finance donations or just campaign donations. And yeah, she's taking about 16 grand. And really, I mean, yeah, that's especially for someone like Amy Klobuchar, that's pocket change. That's pocket change. And she still took the time to send out that tweet, the assassination of a healthcare mob boss. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, and this one really, look, I wasn't like a major Tim Walz stan, but, if there was anything to look forward to from a potential Kamala Harris administration, it would have been Tim Walz's involvement in it, because he's just done so many great things for Minnesota. Really kind of like I would say kind of like the second closest thing that America as a whole even has to Bernie Sanders. So Tim Walz, unfortunately, though, really took a shit on that reputation whenever he tweeted, quote, this is horrifying news and a terrible loss for the business and healthcare community in Minnesota. Minnesota is sending our prayers to Brian's family and the United Healthcare team. Someone replies, quote, ratio him if you think this is actually cool and good. Yeah, that was a successful ratio. 36,000 likes to 3.3 thousand likes. And actually, I will say in the repost, not successful. They only got half the repost that Governor Tim Walz did, but I would still definitely call it a ratio. I don't know. I'm sure there's not really like an official definition of a ratio, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, 36,000 likes to 3.3 thousand likes. That's literally 10,000. That's literally 10 times the amount of likes that Tim Walz got on his initial tweet. So yeah, that's definitely a ratio. Good on you, Twitter. Here's another one from the People's City Council of Los Angeles. So they retweet someone who said, quote, if he was boycotting McDonald's, he wouldn't have been caught. Remember this. So they retweet that and they say, quote, BDS keeps you safe, unquote. For those who don't know, BDS, boycott, divestment, sanctions movement. So that's another good reason why you should boycott McDonald's. If not because of the fact that they're, doing business with an apartheid state that's plausibly committing a genocide. Well, you won't get caught at McDonald's if you're on the run from the police after killing a health insurance company's CEO. Anyways, in this one, this is so. Initially, right after the killing, there were a lot of rumors swirling about that he hopped on a city bike to flee the scene. For those who don't know, a city bike, it's kind of like one of those rental bikes you can get. I think they're electric. I don't know. I've never ridden a city bike before, but nonetheless, that turned out not to be true. But there's this one, let's be kind, call him a dipshit, who, yeah, he really just went all over this false lead and started scraping like data on city bikes and tried to attempted to track the killer's movements, but of course that was a failure. And yeah, a lot of people started dunking on him for this. There's one person here who retweeted his initial tweet announcing all of his findings, and the person says, quote, "ACAB includes this guy." Beautiful. Let's see here. Quote, "Note to self, don't live my life in such a way that when I'm gunned down in the street, the general consensus of public opinion is, quote, good," unquote. Oh, yeah, so this one, I think I already mentioned this. Yeah, so Killer of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson wrote "Deny, Defend, and Depose" on bullet casings. Seems to be a direct reference to a title of this book called "Delay, Deny, Defend: Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It." The person retweets, the initial tweet announcing the new finding, shares a picture of the book cover and says, quote, "Looks like our boy really did find something he can do about it," unquote. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Oh, yeah, and this one, too. I actually saw, I don't know why I included this one. There was actually a better one where someone actually, like, photoshopped the words onto these little, I don't know, home decor boards. For those who are listening to the audio-only version, you know how, like, it's kind of a thing for, like, I don't know, especially, like, suburbanites to get, like, these little boards that they put somewhere in their house, like in the living room, that says, "Live, laugh, love." Someone tweets here, quote, "Christmas gift idea. One of these, but it says deny, defend, depose." And they got a picture of the little home decor boards on there. Oh, and yeah, this one from David Sirota, quote, "One of the most popular television shows of this era was all about a man facing medical bankruptcy, becoming an angry and violent criminal. And yet lots of elites are only now like, wait, people are really mad about the healthcare system that's ruining their lives," unquote.
You're goddamn right.
Yeah, like, oh God. Granted, I'm not going to lie. I think I probably need to skip a few of these because this is starting to get a little bit redundant. Oh, this one, I only wanted to share this one because I like my Fallout, my Fallout video games. It's a series I return to quite frequently. Where is it at? Here it is. So yeah.
No one dared to ask his business.
It's a picture.
No one dared to make a slip. The stranger there among them had a big iron on his hip. Big iron on his hip.
Anyways, here, I'm gonna go back here so I can. So it's a picture of the assassin out in the street. And for those who played the Fallout video games, you'll know the older ones, actually not even plural. It was literally just the third one. I don't think they, can't remember now if they had it in New Vegas actually, but anyways, they have this thing called the karma system where if you do good things in the world, like in the world of Fallout, it's like an open world post-apocalyptic video game. If you do good things in this open world, say I don't know, like donate a few pieces of currency to a homeless guy, or you do some kind of task out of the kindness of your heart for someone that you meet in your exploration of the world, your karma level increases. You gain karma, and there's this little iconic notification that pops up in the corner that says you've gained karma. And simultaneously, if you do like really shitty things, like say you just randomly start killing people who aren't attacking you, or if you like start stealing stuff out of people's houses or whatever, then you lose karma. And it plays like this little iconic, I don't know. I think it's kind of like sort of like a violin. sound effect. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not going to waste much time on that. Trying to describe it. Oh yeah, this one. So for those who don't know, Biden pardoned his own son. About a week ago now, I guess. Yeah. Someone tweeted right after the guy got caught. Someone tweets, quote, "All we have to do is convince Biden that Luigi is his son," unquote. I think that's actually probably doable. Maybe. Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows at this point? So yeah, there's that. Oh yeah, and this one. So there's this whole thing too. Literally, part of what was crazy about this too is literally on the same fucking day that the assassination took place. A few of like the state divisions of Blue Cross Blue Shield. There was BCBS, Missouri, Connecticut, I think maybe New Jersey too. They all announced that after a certain period of time, during like someone's surgery, if the surgery goes on for a longer period of time than anticipated, they were gonna make or they were gonna stop covering the cost of the anesthesia. Now, shout out by the way to one of my good friends and colleagues from MTSU Sidelines. I guess former colleague now, sadly. Really cool guy, by the way. He does a lot of great work at Sidelines. Noah McLean. He had I remember he had like shared with me an article from Vox. I don't have it pulled up, so you could probably go find it, but it kind of clarified something that, actually really didn't make it like much of an issue for patients necessarily. Basically, what Blue Cross Blue Shield was going to do was they were going, they were going to stop covering the cost of the anesthesia. But the thing is, it's actually the doctors who are supposed to take on that cost. That's not, I think there's either some kind of like policy, maybe even law. I don't know. Because again, I'm just talking about this off the top of my head. There's some kind of policy that basically says, yeah, no, you can't charge like the patient for anesthesia. That's at least according to this Vox article. Either way, I would say at best it was still just a terrible, like just very tone deaf way to go about announcing that. Like at the very least, like they should have specified, hey, for patients or like for our beneficiaries who are enrolled with us, like it's not going to have an effect on you, but they didn't even do that. They're just like, yeah, we're going to stop covering the cost of anesthesia if a procedure goes on for too long. So anyways, so after about a day, they decided to reverse that because people were, starting to air their grievances on social media with all the memes regarding the UnitedHealth CEO assassination. So anyways, I say all that to mention, to shout out this tweet. So, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, she announces, quote, "Update. We pushed Anthem," which by the way, Blue Cross Blue Shield, that's owned by Anthem. "We pushed Anthem to reverse course on their decision to strip anesthesia coverage away from New Yorkers. And today they will be announcing a full reversal of this misguided policy. Don't mess with the health and well-being of New Yorkers. Not on my watch," unquote. And there might be more to it, but I'm too lazy to click on it. So someone retweets her announcement. It says, "We," and tweets a picture of of Luigi now. So it's insane. It's literally like politicians are like trying to even ignore like the kind of effect that this assassination is having like on the public at large. And even news outlets are doing this too, as we'll discuss further. Oh man, I wish I could get through more of these, but I don't think I'm gonna. Okay, fine. One fucking more.
They caught the UnitedHealth shooter. I don't know what this is. He very well could be one of the biggest dumbasses of all time. This could be some sort of operation or setup. He could be playing 3D chess right now, and this is all part of the plan. I really don't know. But I do think that how this is being presented to us is very funny. Apparently, this guy who coordinated the most extremely well-executed assassinations, engraved words into bullets, left a backpack full of Monopoly money in Central Park, and left the state of New York successfully, was like, oh boy, it's time to go to McDonald's, I better pack my backpack. Oh, let's see, how about a silencer? Yeah, how about a bunch of fraudulent IDs that are connected to the crime I did? Yeah. Oh, how about a handwritten manifesto where I wrote, I did the crime, it was me, here's all of my motives, yeah, that's going in there, and then I'm gonna act really suspicious. I hope the McDonald's worker doesn't immediately connect me to the healthcare CEO assassination. Like, what the f-? Apparently they caught the UnitedHealth shooter.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is.
So, yeah, it's pretty wild to think about, because, like, the thing is, like, because there weren't really great pictures of him, like, there was very little chance he was even going to get identified if he just wasn't wearing a mask at all. I know there was, like, the one picture with his face down where he was smiling, and that's kind of where the whole, oh my god, he's cute, he's, oh my god, he's hot! Yeah, that whole thing started, which I'm not gonna lie, that dude, especially like after he got caught and like more pictures of him started circulating of him like shirtless with like rock hard abs, like damn. Oh god, there's one more. I had to have put this tweet in here. Please tell me I put this tweet in here. Quote, if you're still in line for the Luigi Mangione conjugal visit, stay in line. Yeah, the internet's just having a fucking field day with this whole thing, and I'm here for it. I am fucking here for it. Okay, so I'm gonna skip like a lot of these. I'll probably still link all of these like in the description if you wanna go check it out or check more of these out. But the next thing I kind of wanted to move on to was looking at how mainstream news has been responding to this whole thing, and I think probably one of the best examples of the insane, out of touch response we have gotten from prominent news outlets is this editorial piece from the Washington Post. All right, we can get rid of this this entire window filled with just UnitedHealth CEO memes. Okay, I got it pulled up. So yeah, the dipshits on the Washington Post editorial board also had to insert their finger wagging at people celebrating the murder of a healthcare mob boss. It is so unironically tone deaf that we have to appreciate the deep extent of its smugness and elitist attitude. The title of the article is A Sickness in the Wake of a Health Insurance CEO's Slaying. There is no excuse for the killing of Brian Thompson or celebrating his death. Jesus Christ. Okay, quote. The motivation for the brazen and seemingly premeditated assassination of a health insurance executive in Midtown Manhattan remains under investigation. Side note, this was obviously written before Luigi got caught. Quote, the likeliest theory is that a hooded gunman, armed with a pistol and apparent silencer, killed 50-year-old Brian Thompson because he was chief executive of UnitedHealthcare, which provides health insurance coverage, quote unquote, to more than 50 million Americans. Shell casings found at the scene, upon which the words delay and deny had been scrawled, imply that this killing stemmed from a grievance related to coverage decisions by Mr. Thompson's company or others like it. As most Americans quickly recognized, I should probably make my camera here a little bit smaller so you can actually see the fucking... Actually, here, I'll just like move it. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Quote, as most Americans quickly recognized, there is no justification for taking a life in this manner. Yet, on social media, expressions of not just understanding, but support for the crime also gained traction in the aftermath of Mr. Thompson's death. Many people made crude and depraved jokes, such as, quote, "My condolences are out of network," unquote. Gasp. Oh no. People expressing their frustrations at with the state of the health insurance industry. I touch on that more in a second. Let me just get through this first part here. Others said flatly that the insurance executive deserved what happened to him, comparing the victim to a serial killer. Do these numbskulls even recognize the ramifications of denying a medical claim? Like, do they think that it's just like a red stamp on a piece of fucking paper that means nothing? According to a 2024 Commonwealth Fund survey, only 43% of adults either challenged or had their doctor challenge a claim denial. Among the 57% who didn't, 45% of them said they didn't even know if they had a fucking right to appeal. Among the 43% who did end up challenging their denied claim, only half of them got their claim approved. Nearly 60% of those who had a denied claim said they experienced delays in health treatment. And nearly half of that 60% said their health problems worsened. So, if you're leading a health insurance company, yeah, you are a legally sanctioned serial killer. Maybe you don't do it with a silenced pistol in the streets of New York City, but you get the dirty deed done at a massive scale by consistently denying patients' medical claims. And at best, making it all the more difficult for them to just get their goddamn health care, to get their fucking treatment, or at worst, slowly but surely making them suffer an agonizing death. But I digress from this mind-numbing and incredibly cringy Washington Post article. Quote, even academics and journalists chimed in. CBS's morning show aired a segment on Friday on the, quote, deep frustration with the health insurance industry, unquote, that highlighted several angry TikTok videos. Quote, I'm having a hard time being empathetic, a woman said in one of them. Celine Gounder, a CBS News medical contributor, said vigilante justice is never warranted, but added, quote, we've gotten to a point where healthcare is so inaccessible and unaffordable. People are justified in their frustrations, unquote. Online sleuths trying to crowdsource clues to find the killer were attacked as snitches and narcs. Quote, anyone who helps to identify the shooter is an enemy of the people, said a post on X with more than 110,000 likes and nearly 9,200 retweets. UnitedHealth Group posted a condolence note on its Facebook page for Mr. Thompson's family, but it had to disable comments as 84,000 users reacted with a laughter emoji. Police said there were false bomb threats against homes owned by Mr. Thompson hours after he was killed on Wednesday. Those who excuse or celebrate Mr. Thompson's killing reveal an ends justify the means sentiment that is flatly inconsistent with stable democracy, unquote. Says the outlet that very prominently lost over 250,000 fucking subscribers because they let their billionaire owner, Jeff fucking Bezos, ban them from issuing an endorsement of a presidential candidate? They're telling you what is and isn't consistent with a stable democracy. Oh, the fucking irony. Quote, "An all things are warranted mindset also animated the mob at the Capitol on January 6th, 2021, and campus protesters who have hailed the quote-unquote martyrs of Hamas, groups very different in their degrees of moral transgression and practical impact, but similar in their embrace of extreme measures to right perceived wrongs," unquote. Euromed, Human Rights Monitor, estimates that Israel has killed over 50,000 people in Gaza, with over 46,000 of them civilians. That's a 90, actually, yeah, that's over a 90% civilian death rate. Right? 52,000, 40, was it 46,000? Yeah, 46,000. Yeah, that's about a 90% civilian death rate. And for context, again, I know I've repeated this so many times on this show, but for context, the Iraq War resulted in about a 66% civilian death rate. And this has resulted in a 90% civilian death rate. The Lancet estimates that up to 186,000 deaths, no, not up to, or even more deaths, could be attributable to the current conflict in Gaza. It's a direct quote there. Moreover, in a letter sent to the Biden administration, 99 doctors who have been working in Gaza estimated that over 118,000 deaths have already resulted from this plausible genocide. So, are those campus protesters only referring to Hamas militants? Or maybe, just fucking maybe, are they referring to the civilians who have been slaughtered at the hands of the IDF? Yeah, great high-minded fucking comparison, you fucking numbnuts at the Washington Post. It's kind of getting disgusting at this point. I mean, literally, we have never seen more deaths of journalists in a conflict. Since that kind of a stat has been recorded and reported, since World War fucking II, we have never seen so many journalists get killed before. And we still have prominent news outlets over a year fucking later are smearing campus protesters who are calling out this fucking atrocity, this blatant violation of international law, at least in my opinion. I know that hasn't been decided yet. I know I've been consistently saying plausible genocide, but Jesus Christ, at this point, I don't know what the fuck else you call it. All of these fucking idiots should be fired. All of them. To respond to this whole story in this way and to continually smear college protesters who are protesting a fucking plausible genocide and our funding of it, or their school's funding of it, to smear them as fucking pro-Hamas, give me a fucking break. These guys are absolute jokes. They're fucking jokes. Quote, "To repeat, most Americans probably reject this kind of thinking, but social media makes what would have previously been ignorable fringe expressions more prominent." Unquote. Okay. So what's the point of this article then? If it's true that most Americans reject this kind of thinking, why do you feel the need to warn the masses about this toxic attitude that they don't even fucking hold? Frankly, we're probably seeing this article because these editors don't know jack from shit and really just want to verbally masturbate about their moral superiority because they don't entertain the notion of health insurance goons receiving some vigilante justice as something remotely good. The fucking editor from the Spider-Man movies, what was it, like Jonah J. Jameson or something like that? the guy who's played by J.K. Simmons, the Peter Parker, give me those pictures of Spider-Man. That dude would be writing this same goddamn piece if Spider-Man decided to like beat the shit out of a health insurance mob boss. Jesus Christ, I'm getting so fucking mad about this. I'm like starting to break my teleprompter remote. Oh my God. It was just a battery case. No big deal. But anyways, quote, some who do not countenance the killing itself have nevertheless tried to treat it as an occasion for policy debate about claim denial rates by health insurance companies, an admittedly legitimate issue. Thank you for your fucking graciousness, Washington Post, in deciding that, hey, at the very least, yeah, debates about high claim denial rates from health insurance companies, yeah, that's a legitimate issue. Oh, you don't fucking say. Some who do not countenance the killing itself have nevertheless tried to treat it as an occasion for policy debate about claim denial rates by health insurance companies, an admittedly legitimate issue. That's fine in principle, but we're skeptical that this particular moment lends itself to nuanced discussion of a complicated and heavily regulated industry. Unquote. Then when the fuck do you want to have the discussion? A seemingly professional grade hitman job just took out a fucking health insurance goon, and the bullet casings left at the scene read, deny, defend, depose. And the Washington Post editorial board has the fucking audacity to say, shh, no, we can't talk about this. That would be rude. Fuck that. Jesus fucking Christ. And these out of touch freaks wonder why people don't trust news media outlets anymore. If you have people performing professional grade hit jobs on health insurance CEOs in the middle of New York City who leave a clear message at the fucking scene that they did it because they hate the healthcare system that the CEO in part perpetuates, and if you have an overwhelming number of people taking to social media to metaphorically piss on that CEO's grave, yeah, that's a perfect fucking time to have a discussion about the issues of the American healthcare system. I gotta take a drink. If you couldn't tell, my voice is getting very sore after yelling to the mic like that. Holy shit.
Karma gets you every time.
And the best part is, right after, like literally in the following fucking graph, these asshats take their skepticism about whether this is a good time to have a, quote, nuanced discussion of a complicated and heavily regulated industry, unquote. They take that whole skepticism and throw it out the fucking window. And then they engage in an oversimplified discussion about the issues surrounding the American healthcare system. Boy, oh boy. Quote, controlling healthcare costs requires difficult trade-offs, the essential one being access and cost. Insurers, whose profits are capped by federal law, must contend with consumer demand for ready access to high-priced specialist and prescription drugs, and, at the same time, premiums low enough that people can afford coverage. Many dislike the way the nation's private sector-led insurance system manages the trade-offs. But even the most generous state-run health systems in other countries also have to face them. Certain forms of care are delayed or not even offered to conserve finite resources for the treatments that are believed to deliver the most value for money. I don't have this one pulled up. I know I've cited it on here before. There's another great Commonwealth Fund study that compared the effectiveness of used to be 11 countries. Now, in the most recent one they did, it was 10 countries total. Every time they perform the same kind of study, they always find that the U.S. healthcare system is by far the fucking worst. We spend the most on healthcare, and we receive the worst outcomes. And of course, I love the fact they don't even cite any fucking sources in this. Brilliant fucking editorial piece. Americans' best response is to support leaders and legislation that improve healthcare outcomes by restraining premiums, cutting unnecessary costs, and investing in care that works. A debate on one small piece of this complex set of issues will occur next year when Congress is to consider whether to keep temporary Obamacare enhancements that have boosted enrollment. The worst response, on the other hand, is what happened on Wednesday. Oh, what a brave fucking thing to say. Violence equals bad. Did they have a fucking first grader write this shit? Yeah, thank you for the enlightened commentary, WAPO editorial board. Yeah, murder is bad. Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. I cannot overstate. I cannot overstate how shallow and brain dead this makes the post look. The editorial board couldn't rub enough brain cells together to characterize our for-profit health insurance industry as murder, because it literally sustains itself by profiting off the denial of medical care. Well, we've made it this far. We might as well finish out this fucking piece of shit. Quote, of necessity, corporate chieftains are already reacting by fortifying their personal security in case the shooting inspires copycat violence. Other insurers are deleting images of their leaders or removing web pages that list their executives. Cowards! Fucking cowards! Anyways, quote, this will make them more insulated from the public and their customers, unquote. Yeah, as if they weren't already. Like, the only difference between now and what more they could do is just, I don't know, arm themselves with more security guards and continue investing in the typical security measures that the ruling class already relies upon. Like, they're literally just spitting words out now. I don't even think they know what the fucking words mean. They're just spitting something out. God, quote, just like the September 11th, 2001 attacks, when Manhattan was also ground zero, it will mean a new normal of a more hardened society. Extra barriers, less openness, and higher security costs, which will need to be passed along to consumers. You know, I just noticed, what higher security what the fuck do they mean? What do they think? There's just like everyone, like, you know, everyone's already needing to like hire fucking security guards. Yeah, sure, that might be an issue for like the fucking rich, especially the health insurance company CEOs who, you know, probably do need to get security guards because they're just fucking realizing now, hey, you know, we're probably pissing off a lot of people because we're literally like scamming them. Like, we're literally just trying to find any way we can to deny them medical care. So yeah, maybe we should get security guards. Never thought of that before. Like, that's really only going to have an effect on like those wealthier folks. For folks like me, and for even just most middle class people, I mean, sure, maybe they get a Ring camera, or maybe they get, I don't know, a shotgun or a pistol or something like that. Who is that? Who is actually going to face higher security, like necessary higher security costs because some random guy decided to, again, enact some vigilante justice on the streets of New York City against a healthcare CEO? Like, they're literally just spitting out words now. I don't even think they've really thought through like the sentences that they are writing here. But once again, I digress, but don't worry. We're almost over with this dumbass article. The foreseeable repercussions mean that this violent attack on one man is really an attack on society itself. Murder is like that. Unquote. Yeah, so I guess then the American healthcare system is totally fine. Maybe it's got a few issues, we could probably, fix a few issues, make some tweaks around the edges, but no, it's totally fine that we have wealthy goons profiting from denying people health coverage, unlike, again, every other developed country in the fucking world. No, the real attack on society is actually a rather understandable response from one individual who, again, likely got fucked over by the American healthcare system and just decided to take matters into his own hands. Look, y'all, I want to reiterate. It should be very clear that I am not trying to call anyone to action. I am not trying to call anyone to action or even suggest that people take up arms and, start dragging health insurance CEOs to the guillotine. At the same time, if people decide to do that, I'm sure as hell not going to intervene either. My point in highlighting my personal glee and the apparent glee of just about every sane-minded person on the internet is that shaming a bunch of victims of our predatory for-profit health insurance industry for feeling good about the murder of a health insurance CEO, then telling them that the issue of healthcare reform is complicated and not appropriate to discuss right now, that will not be taken seriously by the public and rather in serious contempt. What perhaps best encapsulates this paternalistic attitude from mainstream news outlets is the collective refusal of these outlets, or alleged collective refusal of these outlets, bumping into the microphone there, to publish the full manifesto that the assassin, Luigi, possessed when he was arrested, opting instead to summarize his writing in a sentence at most, or sourcing their claims directly from law enforcement. As always, it's independent journalists who swoop in to do the job that major news outlets like ABC News refuse to do. Let's take a look at the verified manifesto given to the public through the persistent efforts of Ken Klippenstein. Right after I go grab a drink of water, I am dying of thirst. Quote, to the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, whatever the fuck that means, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the U.S. has the number one most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is the indecipherable largest company in the U.S. by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. It has grown and grown. But has our life expectancy? No. The reality is these indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful. And they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. But many have illuminated the corruption and greed. Rosenthal, Moore, decades ago. And the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I'm the first to face it with such brutal honesty. Unquote. This is what these outlets were hiding for the past few days. Again, allegedly. This, make no mistake. I think this guy was spitting some fire here, but it's some pretty small flames that he's spitting out. It's nothing new that, like, I haven't learned before. It's pretty commonly accepted. Yeah, we're spending way too much on healthcare and we're not getting the results that we should be seeing for it. Now, I should note, it's unclear which outlets have them, but I could really only find one admission of that from ABC News for what it's worth. I didn't really have a lot of time to, because this whole thing, I ended up including this at the very last minute, so I didn't have much time to do, more thorough searches online. But from what I've seen on their websites, at least, two of them, CNN and the New York Times, they've cited anonymous, like, law enforcement officials or anonymous, like, staffers within those agencies. They have not, they have not explicitly stated publicly, at least, that that they actually have the manifesto on them, or a copy of it, obviously. But also keep in mind too, Klippenstein, I mean, he's been in this business for a long time. He may have some friends who have connections who were telling him stuff off the record. So who the fuck knows? But nonetheless, like, at least with regards to ABC News, because again, they did publicly admit that in an article. Regarding ABC News, like, what the fuck was the justification for keeping this from the public? People were dying to know what was motivating this guy. And yeah, we already had a pretty clear idea, but this manifesto further confirms that fact, that he was driven by legitimate grievances with the American healthcare system. The same kind of fucking grievances that so many people in this country have with it. I mean, one could say, I guess, like, well, it would be irresponsible for news outlets to glorify him before the public. Two issues with that argument, though. Number one, it's kind of too fucking late for that. Because as it turns out, whenever you kill one of the prime beneficiaries from a healthcare system that leaves 10% of the entire population no affordable access to healthcare, according to the Mirror Commonwealth Fund study that I cited offhand a few minutes ago, whenever you have one of the prime beneficiaries getting killed like that, yeah, the people are naturally gonna celebrate that killing, as they should. Second issue with that argument. Even then, even if for whatever reason, for the sake of argument, assuming that it wasn't right to celebrate this murder for whatever reason, even then, publishing the manifesto isn't inherently some glorification of the killer, of Luigi. All you have to do is just write a fucking foreword that says, hey, we don't condone or condemn, scratch that, actually. They could even continue perpetuating the whole pretentious charade of moral superiority by saying, hey, while we condone violence, we also understand that people want to know what motivated this guy to carry out a hit job against a health insurance company's CEO. We have this manifesto, so we'll share it with you, and you can draw your own conclusions from it. That's all they had to fucking do. But because these ruling class propagandists are so blinded by their selfish desires to maintain their self-image as members of polite society or whatever the fuck, and not even remotely appear as if they share some empathy with the guy who assassinated, again, a legally sanctioned mass murderer, these major news outlets, bumping into the microphone again, these major news outlets who like to brag about how they're watchdogs of the government, how they ensure that the masses remain informed, these outlets decided to attempt denying your access to critical information on one of the most popular and incendiary stories of the fucking year. Hell, these outlets refuse to even provide an accurate portrait of the former CEO himself, and at best attempted to misinform the public about what kind of life this psychotic fucker led. Again, an independent journalist had to do the job of mainstream news outlets. This comes from Ken Klippenstein's Substack. Quote, within hours of UnitedHealth CEO Brian Thompson's death by a gunman in Midtown Manhattan, the major media went full North Korea, lavishing praise on the sainted business leader. The Washington Post reported that the, quote, smart and affable Thompson had a, quote, focus on keeping premiums low, unquote, citing an unnamed company staffer who, we're to believe, quote, spoke on condition of anonymity to protect their job, unquote. The coverage seems more like a knighthood than journalism, which, as the saying goes, distinguishes itself from public relations and printing information someone else doesn't want printed. Facts about Thompson's life that he would not have wanted published, of course, exist. I detail some below. But the major media's obsession with decorum, we mustn't speak ill of the dead, has rendered it unable to tell the truth about who this man really was. Instead, they fall back on airy praise, saying that Thompson was well-liked internally, from the Washington Post, a beloved father, husband, from the Minnesota Star-Tribune, quote, a visionary leader, from the New York Times, quoting Blue Cross CEO. In some ways, Thompson had the same problems as anyone else. In April of 2017, the same month he became CEO of UnitedHealthcare's Medicare and retirement business, Thompson pled guilty to drunk driving, for which he served a couple days in jail at the Hennepin County Adult Corrections Facility in Minnesota, and later probation. And while much reporting has cast him as some kind of dedicated wife guy, he had been separated from his wife for years and lived in their own homes, property records show. In other words, Thompson's life was in some ways ordinary. If anything, I think these details humanize him. The opposite effect that the media's fawning depiction of him as some titan on Mount Olympus has had. Thompson's professional life is where someone it's hard to relate to emerges. In May, the Hollywood Firefighters Pension Fund filed a lawsuit accusing him of insider trading and fraud. According to the lawsuit, Thompson had sold $15 million in personally held company stock during a Justice Department antitrust investigation into UnitedHealthcare, knowledge of which he failed to disclose. When news of the investigation broke, it wiped out nearly $25 billion in shareholder value. Then there's Thompson's reported sale of $1.5 million in stock on the same day that the company suffered a ransomware attack that erased $46 billion in market cap. The only reason I even heard about this was because I interviewed a UnitedHealthcare employee who told me. I've since spoken with several employees, and it's now quite clear that the major media's accounts of Thompson being, quote, well-liked internally, unquote, might be true of the boardroom, but not the rank and file. And that's the problem with so much of corporate media. It's not that they're consciously lying. They're simply getting their view of the world from the C-suite. If you want to learn about Amazon, you're going to get a very different picture from Jeff Bezos than you would from a fulfillment center worker. That's what I try to do every day on this newsletter, whether it's interviewing grunts in the military or everyday employees at UnitedHealthcare. I hope you'll subscribe to support this mission. I should probably finish this thing up now. At this point, if you're still pearl clutching about the death and the nasty mean comments and memes that people are sharing on social media, and you feel bad for the murdered healthcare mob boss, I only have one question. When you have your nightly boot at your dinner table, sitting on a plate, ready for you to lick, do you take the boot and like try to eat it and gag on it like you're giving it a blowjob, or do you take the more traditional boot licking approach and lick it like an ice cream cone? Genuinely curious. Different strokes for different folks. Let me know in the comments section below. Hey friend, that's all I've got for today, but thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of The Unnatural State of Affairs. The Unnatural State of Affairs broadcasts on WMTS 88.3 FM in Murfreesboro, Tennessee from 5 to 7 p.m. on Mondays. The broadcasted version is censored, but I do also have a full DJ hour in the broadcasted version. I mostly play punk rock music and some rap music as well. And if you can't tune in at that time, though, you can also find the uncensored versions of all my talk show segments that day on my Substack, The Kennel, and you can also find audio-only versions on Spotify. If you liked what I had to say, hit that like button. If you have any thoughts that you want to share, hit me up in the comments section down below. And if you want to be notified of the next upload that I make, hit that subscribe button. You'll get an email in your inbox the next time I make an upload, and you'll also get a notification through the Substack app if you have that on your device. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good one.